So we've seen, again, we're recording this early 2023. This will probably come out around April, May-ish, because we're like way ahead of schedule.
That's awesome.
But, because of COVID, because of people leaving states like California, because everybody was working from home and they wanted bigger places, right?
Right.
And just because of the bull market that came after 2009, we saw in all areas, specifically in Vegas, like an unprecedented run-up in values from like 2010 to like 2021. And then in 2022, we start to see like a softening of the market, maybe list prices, not necessarily close prices, go down a bit. Now closed prices are starting to go down. So maybe a 15% market correction. What do you think, mostly because you've lived here forever, I don't even really care about your quote unquote realtor opinion, but because you've seen this movie before play out a couple times, do you think we're closer to the trough, closer to the peak? Like, should people be buying investment properties right now? Or is it like, hey, we probably got one more down leg to go in the real estate market in Vegas? Like what's your, if you had a crystal ball, where are we at 6 months or 6 years from now in Vegas real estate?
Well, I'm going to start with the general historical market in Las Vegas, right? So in the market, in January, we're slow. People are done with the holidays. They're trying to recover from the holidays. Nothing's really happening. It's cold.
No one's coming to Vegas, so people aren't making a lot of money.
Right. I mean, we have been very busy with conventions, but
by the way, Chris just interrupted me and told me the green fee at the Wynn golf course is $600.
Yes.
So put it on the bucket list.
Starts at $600.
Starts at $600.
I know.
Find a lovely young man to take you or something.
You know what? I have a dear friend that is one of the chefs there, so
there we go.
I'm going to call in a favor.
Perfect. Local favor.
Right. But no, generally speaking, January slow, February gets a little better than January. It's still not super busy. But once we start hitting March and April and, we get nicer weather, typically the market just picks up. That's just a natural process.
Got it.
We go, April, May, June, and then July, August comes and it kind of slows down a little bit. Sometimes it gets busy in July, just depends. And it's just the natural flow of our traffic out here. Right? September, we're still kind of October kind of goes down a little bit. And then November, December, it slows down. Don't get me wrong, I still stayed busy because people are still buying and selling for a multitude of reasons.
Right.
Especially in Vegas. But that's just the general market for you. So right now, the prices are stabilizing. When we get into the spring, it's predicted to go up or stay the same. Still in the middle of the correction. Of course, a lot's going to depend with the interest rates. We'll see what's happening with the interest rates.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great lenders out there that are helping us. We're teaming up and we're helping our buyers get in where they can afford a decent monthly payment, and they're going to putting their money into their home instead of renting from someone else.
Yeah, so I always think it's a better time to be a buyer than a renter. I 100% agree with that.
Always.
And a friend of mine, shout out to Mark Walker. He's a very contrarian guy, so you kind of have to take what he says with a grain of salt. But I remember a couple years ago, he told me something that I thought was very ingenious, because we were talking about buyer's market, seller market. Yeah. He's done a lot of commercial real estate transactions and made a lot of money in apartment buildings and stuff.
Okay.
And he said, look, he's like, the reality of the situation is it's not a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's a lender's market, because all of the deals that are coming to fruition, or many of them, are based on the fact that interest rates are so low, lenders are so aggressive in their underwriting. Not that it was going back to 2008, low documentation, stuff like that. Right. But he just said, the market is being driven by low interest rates, easy access to credit. People can finance more than they ever thought they would be able to as a percentage of their income because interest rates are so low. He's like, as soon as interest rates go back up, it's going to be really interesting to see how the market corrects because all of a sudden that commercial deal, he's looking at big deals, 200 apartment buildings for $40 million.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense when rates are 7 instead of 3. If rates are at 7, now all of a sudden that commercial deal might look like $32 million instead of $40 million as far as a sales price. So I think if we correlate that down to or we use that analogy down in the residential market, it's like, that entry home at $450 looks a lot different at 6.75 instead of 2.75.
Absolutely.
And I know for my wife and I, looking for the forever home, a year and a half ago, 5 bedrooms, a pool, a guest house, we were like, all right, we can kind of stretch and go up to $2 million. And then with interest rates more than doubling, we're like, We definitely have to keep it below $1.5 million. Maybe $1.2 million would make a lot more sense.
Yes.
So I think there's just that downward pressure on the market because we kind of screwed up interest rates, which they never needed to be that low to begin with. Everybody would have been real happy at 3.5 or 4, but we kind of spoiled everybody for a couple of years.
We really did because, quite frankly, 6 and 6.5% interest rate is not horrible.
No, it's historically normal.
Exactly. It's just a matter of, honestly, it's our job to educate people because they only know people. I'm going to say people that are like in their 30s.
Yeah.
And I've worked with a couple of them. They're hearing the chatter from the parents.
Right.
The parents are still dealing with their fear. And so they're trying to instill fear to their children to hold on. And it's annoying to me when I hear these stories.
Right.
Because you are not your parents. We're not going through 2008 right now.
Right.
There are so many circumstances that are so different from what they were then.
Yeah.
I have really encouraged them, take the time and gather enough information other than your parents. And I don't mean that with any disrespect.
Right.
Because that older generation that got hit really, really hard, that my mom was one of them. You know, I mean, we suffered quite a bit.
Right.
But we have a certain resilience when we're at a certain age.
Right.
Those older people, they were hit really hard with their retirement money.
Yeah.
They're scared as shit.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to instill that fear to that next generation.
Right.
So I feel like it's our job to truly educate. We're not living in those times.
Right.
And if you invest right now, let's get you the very best interest rate. But if you are in a position to buy, let's do it. And in 5 to 10 years, you're going to make some money.
Yeah.